colleagues, you know that the incoming debate will be twofold. So we'll have on the one part the signing of this cooperation agreement with the European Commission, and we will have a second part of this meeting with Vice President Šefčovič concerning the work program of the Commission 2023. And I think it's an excellent news that Vice President Šefčovič dedicates that much time to us, and I'm really, really happy to welcome him here today.
Nice to see you. Everybody's happy to be after. Everybody's happy to be after coffee.
Of course. So, dear Vice President Šefčovič, dear Maroš, I would like to wholeheartedly welcome you here at the EESC plenary session. You're certainly, and we know that, one of the best friends of our committee, and we can always count on you to have frank debates in the current issues which concern us. Today we'll have the opportunity to discuss the matters of cooperation between our two institutions and also the European Committee work programme for the next year. In 2021, we agreed to update the protocol on cooperation between the European Commission and the European Economic and Social Committee. Because the last cooperation agreement dates back to 2012. And during the 10 years since its signature, the protocol has enhanced the relations between our institutions and strengthened our cooperation. Negotiations on the new protocol have now been completed, and the revised protocol further consolidates and intensifies the collaboration between us. It clearly indicates the key challenges of the current political EU agenda and provides the necessary tools and processes to address them. Through the protocol, we recognise the importance of a close and special partnership with a view to achieving a European Union that is economically prosperous, socially inclusive and environmentally sustainable, whilst taking full advantage of the digital society and economy. I'd like to shortly underline just a couple of innovations which will be introduced through this new document. First of all, it's the addition of a political declaration to accompany the revised protocol. A political message will for sure serve the interests of both institutions in terms of visibility and impact. It recognises the key role of the EESC as an advisory body that is instrumental to ensuring and further developing participatory democracy. A significant novelty in the revised protocol is the commitment to jointly identify 5 subjects for exploratory opinions annually, once the Commission has adopted its work programme. And this is a very important point for us, and we've recently discussed about that, because it allows us to really work more forward-looking way, and we will heavily invest on this new way to cooperate. The strengthened role of the committee is recognised also with regards of the European Citizens' Initiative, the so-called ECI. We have, as you all are aware, the annual ECI Day. In that vein, the protocol also includes the committee's consideration to adopt own initiative opinions on valid ECI on a case-by-case basis. And the revised protocol highlights the importance to step up synergies between the Commission and the Committee in the area of communication, with the aim to bring the EU closer to its citizens. It acknowledges that closer interinstitutional cooperation will enable the European institutions to make use of the Committee's expertise, being able to communicate both at the national and at the European level. And in that sense, I'm also happy to say that just 2 days ago at our Bureau meeting, we adopted a new communication strategy. So I think the timing of this collaboration fits just perfectly well. We also appreciate that a compromise text was found to identify ways for further strengthened cooperation with the committee in the future, for example, by following up on proposals of the Conference on the Future of Europe. Dear Vice President Šefčovič, let's use the opportunity to hear your points of view on this cooperation agreement. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Madam President, dear Krista, honourable members. At first, I would like really welcome you back to Brussels. It's nice to see a full house. I think we all are happy that we can be here together, because this COVID session in this big hall, just talking to the screens, will be not the same when to see all the representatives from all walks of life back here in Charlemagne, and we are definitely very happy to see you. As you know, your committee and your president both are very ambitious, so we've been really discussing over the last year what we can do to make sure that the revised protocol on cooperation between European Commission and European Economic and Social Committee would not only serve the purpose, but would push us more forward to our fruitful cooperation. And I really would like to thank you, Madam President, but also all those who have been working very hard to make sure that we would update the protocol, because, as you rightly pointed out, the previous version was already dated back to the time 10 years ago, which in the current pace of global and European changes is kind of prehistoric time, we can say. And of course, a lot has changed since then, and therefore the revision will indeed ensure the ways we cooperate, which would be more suitable for the times we live in, and of course for the challenges we are faced with together. And the spirit of the fruitful cooperation in which the protocol was revised will surely further facilitate our work. I would also like to underline that it is for us also the symbol of the high regard of the European Commission for this committee, and its important role in the development of our policies, with the synergies between us contributing to the smooth functioning of our union. On a personal level, let me assure you that our President, Ursula von der Leyen, the whole College of Commissioners, our services, and of course myself personally, that we value the opinion you adopt, the work that goes into them, the outreach, the communication, the consultation activities which are so important and which are carried out by you. With that in mind, the objective in revising the protocol was not to throw away and start again. Rather, we looked at introducing improvements without making fundamental changes to the protocol that has worked well. These improvements include a joint commitment to work better on the better regulation agenda, to promote values of the European integration and participatory democracy, including the European Citizens Initiative and Civil Society Days, to support the Commission's work on the European semester, and to facilitate the participation of members of the college, my colleagues commissioners, at your plenaries and other committee events. In addition, the renewed protocol is now preceded by a political declaration which highlights the political significance of our reinforced cooperation. So to sum up, I very much look forward to signing it, to bolster our joint efforts, which we have nourished over the years of very good cooperation. And of course, I will be very much looking to your comments, to your interventions, and then of course to the signature. Thank you very much, Madam President.
Thank you very much, dear Vice President. We are now proceeding to a general debate, and the first speaker is Mr. Bowles.
Madam President, Commissioner Šefčovič, first of all, you are extremely welcome, as you know, to this House. You've been a strong friend of this Commission, and certainly my group, civil society organisations, are very pleased that you are here this morning. Certainly, we live in challenging times. There is a lot on the to-do list for you and for all of you. Can I ask a few things? We welcome the EU Commission's recent statement in terms of the work programme. Everything we need is there. I would ask you in a practical way to look at how we implement the issues underlining those. For example, poverty and its eradication. For example, the issues affecting citizens suffering from energy inflation, and, of course, the issues around general freedoms to ensure that the values of this committee, this Europe, are maintained. So may I thank you sincerely for being here, and may I guarantee you that we in civil society organisations will work with you in this area. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now over to Mr. Colin Lustenhauer.
Thank you, Madam President. Mr. Vice President of the Commission, dear colleagues, it's a profound honour for me to address you today on behalf of the Employers Group of the Economic and Social Committee. How often does one, I'm over here, stand face to face with the representatives of over 90 million citizens who voluntarily organize themselves so that their voice is heard on the European level? Which institution can say that on the basis of a treaty signed by 27 member states that it is assisted by a body representing these over 90 million European citizens? You, Mr. Vice President, today, right now, face that multitude of citizens as you are, once again, our guest here in the committee. You, Mr. Vice President, represent that unique institution, the Commission, which we assist. Assist by formulating, as this new renewed protocol states, through an organized structured dialogue, the opinion of those whom you address in your policy proposals. Today, by means of adoption of this cooperation agreement and the protocol, we reinforce our relation by cooperating even more close and intense than we did before. With this, we empower our close partnership for the realization and safeguarding of the core European values. Within our committee, we often come from different and enjoyed the unique process of what I call unity in diversity. Diversity in our interests and unity in our goal, being a union of peace and prosperity. That's, Mr. Vice President, we want to assist you, and that's why we expect to be recognized and respected as such. The voice of European citizens coming together to find common ground to realize that goal of unity in diversity. In our businesses, we work together. In our markets, we meet each other. In our politics, we respect one another. In our cooperation with you, we challenge and encourage each other. Unity in diversity. With this renewed cooperation agreement, Mr. Vice President and dear colleagues, we are, in the words which will sound familiar to you, Mr. Šefčovič, we are fit for future. That future starts here today, as it will do tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. So let's start that work. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Colin. Now over to Mr. Palmieri.
Thanks, Mrs. President. A very warm welcome to our plenary, Mr. Vice President, my group, the Workers' Group. I appreciate the commitment shown in the political declaration accompanying the protocol cooperation, in which the Commission recognized our committee as the house of European civil society, and as such, the HAYLI is in to be instrumental to answering and further developing participatory democracy. We believe that our committee can play a more important role in the citizen participation. We see that our role could be centralized in one existing organization, all the activities of citizen recruitment, preparation, presentation, the involvement of civil society organization and dialogue. We welcome that the new cooperation agreement includes the sentence, the Commission and the Committee may in the future identify ways to strengthen their cooperation, for example, in the follow-up of the proposal of the Conference on the Future of Europe. and we hope it will be implemented as soon as possible. Another important feature of the revised cooperation agreement is the issue of the better regulation agenda and especially strategic foresight. Also for this important topic, you can count on our committee as a key partner in the future development of the EU strategic foresight capabilities. This aspect is also now reinforced in this new cooperation agreement. Under your leadership, we have seen the strategic foresight has taken a key role, but we note that foresight will only achieve its stated objective if it's an open and pluralistic as well as diverse cross-disciplinary exercise involving organized social partners and civil society, and in particular our committee at all stages of the foresight process. A blatant example of poor preparedness to sudden shock was the COVID-19 pandemic. It has taken us all by surprise as if it had been a completely unpredictable event. But voices had been raised years ago warning the risk, but they were unearthed. This is why we think that an interinstitutional debate is needed on how to better reflect the strategic foresight process in the specific policy proposal and political decision-making process. And, as a last word, I believe that the problem of the EU is not too much a lack of foresight of strategic planning on the side of the Commission. The real problem of the EU is the lack of political will to enact far-reaching proposals haven't developed with foresight. If the political will is not there, foresight will not bring the desired step forward. Thanks and good luck for your work.
Thank you very much. Now, Luca Jaillet, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for giving me the floor. And I wish to congratulate you, Mrs. President Krista Schwenk, and you, Vice President Maros Šefčovič, for having finalized this new revised protocol of cooperation between our two institutions. The case is that 10 years ago, you, Vice President, you were already there when the last protocol was negotiated. It's true at the time it was signed by our President Staffan Nielsen and the President of the Commission Barroso, but you were the Vice President in charge of interinstitutional relations, and that was already signed and negotiated with your service at the time. So that means that you also know from a very long time, and you're a close friend of us. And I think it was really our time to update and upgrade the past protocol, as it has been done, not only by the number of pages that is there, but also by the number of content that are included. And as past president, I have to express my full satisfaction for the result. And on 4 points mainly. First is this reinforced engagement in giving structured civil dialogue and participatory democracy a more stable structure, recognizing the core by the treaty role of this committee in giving a structural long-term structure to this dialogue. Second, the more precise definition of the link between the exploratory opinion and the annual working programme of the Commission. Third, the full inclusion, finally, is completely new, of the evaluation report, assessment of key EU policies, contribution to the better regulation agenda and the refit in general, and also on foresight. These four are completely new, and we know how many debates and also controversy there has been sometimes in our committee on some of these. Now they are established. And last but not least is the word implementation. We can write the better document or protocol ever, but if we do not implement, it will be a mess. And now you have established a procedure, monitoring and annual assessment by the services and by the top level of our two institutions, and that's good. We have to verify, to correct and adapt implementation, although what is new and good is simply forgotten. Thank you so much, and good luck for the next 10 years of cooperation.
Thank you. May I invite you to reply to what you've heard so far?
Thank you very much, Madam President. Of course, I would like to thank for all the questions, remarks, for my very good friend Luca reminding me that I'm here already for a long time. But the truth is that it kind of allowed me to see the progress in our mutual relations, how much we benefit from your opinions, from your suggestions, and from the exchanges we have with the members of your committee. And I think that all that positive experience over the last 10 years is now really reflected in the revised protocol, because it just underlines how important this cooperation between the committee and the European Commission is, and how very much we value that approach. And as I said in my introductory remarks, that's not only me, myself, speaking, but I'm really speaking on behalf of the Commission, our President, my colleagues, commissioners, and services who are benefiting a lot from your input. I also very much welcome your suggestions. How can we reinforce our cooperation further? How can we improve the communication with our citizens? And coming to the concrete remarks of the previous speakers, indeed, as Mr. Lustenhauer said, if we can rely on the organization which has 990 million citizens as an audience, that's very important, and we should really value such a not only cooperation, but the very important assistance which you are providing us with in spreading the word, spreading the news, and communicating what's very important in the field of the European cooperation. Indeed, your committee is unique because you have the three groups which are very much reflecting the key part of the society, and therefore I understand also the point made by Mr. Balan that what is very important is to look for practical ways how we can translate your work program and our work program in a practicality which would lead to, I would say, big challenges of today, which I will come back to after I think we present our Commission work program, so I can be a little bit more concrete and tell you what kind of measures we want to use to tackle the poverty, to tackle the inflations driven mostly by high energy prices. To Mr. Palmieri, I want to thank you for highlighting the importance of Conference on Future of Europe. We've been working together with your President in the health group, which was from many aspects a very unique experience. But in the end, I think we arrived at a very solid set of proposals, which again found a reflection in our Commission work program. And I think that that would be a good story to tell to our citizens in the follow-up event, which is now being discussed between the European institutions, how we are going to organize it and how we are going to provide the feedback to the citizens. On foresight, you've been absolutely right. It's not only to be good and strong at making a good foresight exercise, but what I'm always telling to our services to make foresight strategic indeed. We need to make sure that political leaders are informed about it and it leads to political decisions. Therefore, very often the biggest challenge is not only to have a good material, but how to get it to the attention of the leaders, to the attention of our citizens, and how very often to bring to the attention of the top decision makers something what very famously former US Vice President Al Gore was describing as inconvenient truth. Because very often you see the clouds on the horizon, but to act upon them requires a lot of courage, a lot of wisdom, and a lot of energy, and that's, I think, where the task for the foresighters is. And I'm glad that this unit of foresight are now being formed, I would say almost in every member state, usually around the offices of the prime ministers. And to Luca, I really would like to thank you for your presidency. I would like to appreciate the focus you put on better regulation, on exploratory opinions, and on implementation. And if it comes to better regulation, it's a vast area where we can do a lot to improve the situation. You probably noticed that as a token of an example from the last European Council discussions, when the European heads of states and government clearly indicated that one of the issues why we cannot move faster to the renewables is very long permitting process. That if you want to put photovoltaic panels on the roof, when you want to build the wind park, when you want to build other, I would say, renewable-based power plant, until you get all the permits, it takes enormously long time, and it's kind of slowing us down, which we cannot afford in the current energy crisis situation. So to conclude, thank you very much for your statements supporting the protocol, which we negotiated together in a good phase with a good result. And of course, we are looking forward to the President to signing it and then to continue our debate on the Commission work program. Thank you.
Well, sincerely thank you for your replies. Thank you for your positive appreciation of the results that we have achieved. I think we can be proud of. For me, this is today a starting point for the relations with the European Commission, so between our houses, and I think this is an excellent point. I would also like to join, and I should have probably done that in my introductory remark, I would like to join in your thanks to our services, because it was them who mainly negotiated, and I'm really thankful, and I think they deserve a big applause. Let's proceed to the signature.